I love those costumes. That's my favorite episode, actually, because of that sequence. Yeah, I think the idea behind that was that there was this sort of perfect parallel universe that existed with Archie Digest and Archie comics, which were so not narratively, and that we could poke fun at that in a certain way through a kind of dream sequence, and it ends up being a reflection of Jughead's underlying psyche and sort of a wish fulfillment and what he may end up wanting and fearing, and it kind of becomes a really short and powerful sequence that describes Jughead in totality, and I think he I love that sequence so much.
Yeah, what was it like shooting that for all
Great.
of you?
We were all very excited. We were all very excited to be in those old outfits, and everyone behind the scenes has kept it quite hush hush because we realize people are going to really jump on that, which is great. But then there's so you guys know about Polly Cooper being pregnant.
Yes.
I had tried on her pregnancy belly while in that Jughead outfit, and there's this horrifying shot of me with like this distended stomach in this classic Jughead uniform, and there's a part of me that thinks like that's the Jughead people want to see, is like this gluttonous, disgusting looking Jughead.
I mean, I admit I was a little surprised as to, the Jughead that we got. Like, pleasantly surprised. I mean, but, Jughead was so different from, what we read,
Totally.
what I read in the comics. Is that what you think as well?
Yeah, Jughead, in my opinion, Jughead is the most different from his character in the Digest. Is the single most different character from the Digest. But I also think he's much more fleshed out in this universe than in the Digest. Jughead in the original Archie's is kind of a two-dimensional character. I mean, I don't mean to do anyone offense by saying that, but he's like a lot of those archetypes. They don't really investigate the background of the characters too much, and I think what Roberto has done in this way, and which I think is really novel and great, and as an actor gives me a lot of room, is that Jughead uses sarcasm and cynicism and wit and comedy as a way to sort of push himself from his own emotions and a shell, so to speak. And a lot of comedians do this, and a lot of comics do that. A lot of comedians are dark people with dark pasts that use comedy as a way of grappling with their world, but also as a way of keeping themselves from getting too honestly emotional. And I think that is kind of a beautiful way that we've been able to play Jughead in this. I also think, Jughead in this is one of those characters that Archie and Betty were friends with when they were kids, lost touch with, and when they lost touch with him, a lot of bad stuff happened. And he walled himself off and kept his distance and didn't really talk about it. And this murder of Jason Blossom, in a funny enough way, rather than being a severely negative thing for Jughead, has become the kind of door opening or reintroduction for him into a group, like a talking point. It's like a party on Halloween. The first thing you say to someone is like, "Oh, what costume are you wearing?" Like everyone had a common ground now, and Jughead had that common ground to reintroduce himself to these two kids, Betty and Archie, who he's been friends with and loved since he was a kid. So I think I hope people like this Jughead, obviously, because we've been putting a lot of passion into it. But I also think this is a very interesting Jughead to listen to and hear about, because there's more human emotion behind his actions, unlike the original Digest, which he's just this kid that eats and cracks jokes without ever turning the lens upon himself. And I think in this we do.